Mauricio Shogun Rua was a minus 400 favorite because that was him at the time, and he was a star at 205 at the time. He finished Alistair Overeem, who was a plus 300. That was with punches in the first round. And what Mike and I had been talking about is obviously this is 205 Alistair Overeem. But you can tell it's actually funny, you can kind of tell he's starting to like put on a little bit of muscle because they show like the highlight reel of his even earlier Pride fights, and you forget kind of how scrawny Overeem used to be.
He just got on that hollandaise sauce.
What are you talking about, man? There was that UFC interview on the UFC magazine. All he ate was that beef and potatoes diet that just, makes you gain about roughly 80 pounds of solid muscle.
Yeah, it's crazy. The amount, him and Barry Bonds, the two professional athletes, you watch them when they're younger, they're skinny as bean poles. I mean, obviously they have muscle, but then when they got on that juice, dude, they look in prime, bro.
I would borderline say that Overeem, especially like Overeem, like when you look up the photos from when he was going to fight Brock, when he was in his ultimate form of most steroids human could possibly take and still look kind of like a human, somewhat. That at that point, like, because I remember hearing stories that like when he was originally going to 205, he was like 220, 225 early on in Pride, and so he put on at least 40 pounds of solid muscle. And that's at least, because I think there was a couple of those fights, the tail end of when he was Overeem, that he was actually starting to cut a little bit of weight just to make the heavyweight limit, which is ridiculous at the time. And apparently steroids don't fix a chin.
Yeah, performance-enhancing drugs are a hell of a thing, dude. But what was really weird to see is him. I don't remember him searching for so many guillotine chokes. I know he was I guess not famous for them, but he that was kind of his thing, was getting some guillotines because he was strong, number one, and he has pretty long arms for he's big anyways, but I would say his size, but he has longer arms for his size division. So I could see why he would go for guillotines, but I absolutely hate people who go for those. It's pretty much a rookie move. I don't, it's basic jiu-jitsu type shit. So I hate when I see it go down, and it was just funny to see Overeem kind of chase for it. But Mauricio Rua, I mean, he's shown us time and time again, even now, lately, we've doubted him against some of the up-and-comers, and he still zombies through it, just like he did in the Pride fights, even versus a young Overeem, and overcame it all, because he was outsized for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Height, reach, you would think maybe even punching power, like, I don't know, it was crazy to watch, especially when you know, like, where they are now, or just even where Overeem is now, and even Shogun kind of tapered off a little bit, then bounced back, and then so on and so forth. Like, and I know me and Mike talked about this before the show. I can't remember if we have it on the show, so I'm gonna break into it now. This was a fight in the States. It was the second time that Pride was in the States, so they actually had to go by not Pride rules, kind of like they couldn't do stomps, soccer kicks. Just the time limits were different.
Ooh, all the fun stuff.
Oh yeah, they had to do 3 5-minute rounds and then 5 5-minute rounds for the main event. So like you took all of these fighters that are used to that 10-minute first round and change that and take away. Like Shogun Rua is known for stomps and soccer kicks, and even like Vanderlei Silva, we'll get to him in a little bit, known for stomps and soccer kicks. They couldn't do them. So like, I guess if anything, this fight probably would have been more in the favor of Rua if he could do some of those things. But like, until we get to the co-main event and the main event, I guess of the ones we've talked about so far, do you think that the change in rule set, like going back to what Pride rules should be, would have changed any of those going into this co-main event and main event?
No, I probably Rua would have hurt Overeem even worse than he did, because he laid him out pretty good and damaged him pretty bad. So I think he just would have ended up just stomping him even worse.
If you like this clip, remember to like, subscribe, and comment. We want to hear from you. Let's roll.